All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to unpack a pretty fascinating framework for living a more meaningful life. You can almost think of it as a blueprint for the soul, a kind of guide for navigating our own inner world to build a better reality outside.
So, just imagine for a second, what if a manual like that actually existed? Not some dense, heavy philosophical text, but a real, practical guide for the choices we all have to make every single day. That's really the big question at the heart of what we're exploring today.
So our journey really begins with this idea of a blueprint. The framework we're about to look at presents two really fundamental paths we can walk in life, and they reveal two completely different ways of being.
Now, what's so interesting here is how this whole discussion is framed. See, this isn't about outside forces just dictating how our lives go. It's all about an internal choice, a clear duality between what the source calls the poisons that lead to our own suffering and the virtues that can lead to a state of, well, grace.
Okay, so let's start with that first path. The source describes this set of what it calls inner poisons. These are mindsets and emotions that, when we let them in, they inevitably lead to our own unhappiness.
And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the core idea. I mean, think about it. A complaint feels like you're aiming it at someone or something else, right? But who does it really end up hurting? The source argues that, just like a poisoned arrow, it's a weapon that ultimately poisons the person who fires it.
And here are some of the key roots of that suffering. Jealousy is described as basically a reflection of an ugly soul. Selfishness is called the actual source of all our troubles. And anger, it's not something someone else does to you. It's a chronic poison we actually choose to give ourselves. And then you have greed and vanity, which are framed not just as flaws, but as a kind of illness or even a cancer of our human nature.
The slide just puts that choice in such stark terms. The source uses this really powerful metaphor, a tale of two passports. Selfishness is basically a one-way ticket to a personal hell of suffering. But selflessness, well, that's the passport to a personal heaven. And that brings us to the other path.
So, if all those things are the poisons, what's the antidote? Well, the source lays out a really clear path of virtue, a series of choices we can make that actively create a better quality of life.
And it all starts right here. Gratitude isn't just a passive feeling. It's presented as the foundational element, the #1 ingredient for actively making your life better. It's the direct counterpunch to that poison of complaint we just talked about.
Now, building on that foundation of gratitude, you have these other core virtues. Honesty is just the best policy for being a good human. Trust is compared to sweet honey, while mistrust is like a sharp knife that just cuts and divides. Humility isn't about being weak. It's the very bridge to a higher state of being. And forgiveness? That's not really for the other person. It's for you. It literally broadens your own path and gives you more space to live.
And here's the crucial takeaway. Things like health, peace, and joy, they're not seen as just random luck. According to this blueprint, they are the direct results, the rewards of cultivating a virtuous mindset. Rewards that, as the source calls it, come from the greatest creator. The idea is that your inner state literally creates your outer reality.
Okay, now this is where it gets really practical. The source doesn't just stick with these abstract ideas. It actually breaks down these two paths into incredibly specific lists of actions, defining what it considers good and evil. First up, let's look at evil. Now, this isn't some mystical, dark force. The source defines it as a long list of tangible human behaviors. We're talking about everything from slandering good people and harming the innocent to spreading rumors and even polluting the environment. Basically, it's any action that desecrates life and spreads negativity. And then, on the other side, you have good. And again, it's not some abstract halo you wear. It's a collection of positive, tangible actions. Things like showing reverence for life, respecting your parents, encouraging other people, helping those in a crisis, and just being honest. It's any action that uplifts others and creates harmony.
This table just makes the contrast crystal clear, doesn't it? You can choose to slander the wise, or you can choose to try and be like them. You can harm the innocent, or you can help those in crisis. You can spread rumors, or you can choose to encourage others. It really feels like every single moment presents a choice between these two columns.
And all of this, it brings us to the ultimate takeaway from this entire blueprint. The power to choose which column you live in, which path you decide to walk, that lies entirely and completely within each and every one of us.
And this quote right here, wow, it's the perfect, powerful summary of the entire philosophy. It's a message of absolute personal responsibility. Fortune and misfortune, they're not just random events that happen to us. They are the consequences that we summon ourselves through our own choices and actions.
And so, this whole blueprint leaves us with one final, very personal question. If every action you take and every thought you have is a choice, what will you choose to summon into your life?